Hi everyone. In this tutorial, I'm going to talk about configuring Advanced ETL Processor for production environment. We'll talk about installation, configuring a repository, configuring global variables, user access rights, and setting up initial packages such as backup and log directory maintenance. Okay, let's start from downloading the software. We will be working with 60-bit version. So we need to extract it first. Then run setup as administrator. One thing is very important, this component, if you're using Microsoft Office 32-bit old version, you might have a problem, so you might need to uninstall it, but in most of the cases not really necessary. So let's click next. This user will be used to run Windows services such as execution agent, monitors, management console, so on. So it is very important to grant required access to this user. For example, this user would need to be able to access the source directories, Windows shares or servers. Okay, installing the software. So it is registering the services now, so it's taking a while. Okay, completed. So we just run ATL. And what we need to do now, we need to create a backup, because this repository has a lot of useful example, and we are going to use it to learn how the software works. So just click backup, and we call it backup zip. It's not very complicated name. All done. You can see the default repository is MS Access. It works fine for development environment, but unfortunately over time this database tends to get corrupted, so you might need to run compacting manually. So the proper way of doing things is to use more advanced databases such as SQL Server, Oracle, or PostgreSQL. In this demo we'll be talking about working with MS SQL Server Express, which is free and very easy to set up. So let's download it. I will put all the links into the description. So we just download the setup. There it is. Do custom installation. Just close it because I don't need it right now. So what we want to do, we want to use new SQL Server standalone installation. So click next. Usually takes 2-3 seconds to check. Okay, fine. Here it is. So click next, and we just want to install database engine services, don't need anything else. Click next. We're using a named instance. So we'll set missed node to the password. Okay, so it will take a while. Meantime, I'll put the video on pause. Okay, setup is completed. Let's close it and close this one as well. So next step is to install SQL Server Management Studio. We will be using it to manage SQL Server, create databases, users, and so on. Just download it. And click install. So installation completed. Let's launch it. So what we need to do next, we need to create a repository database. Let's call it ETL production. Check some options. So this must be simple. Click OK. We'll use let's use a different name. So call it ETL Processor Repository. Okay, next step is to create a user. Create a new login. Let's call it ETL. We set default database to production repository. Then we set default language is very important, because if you are not in English speaking country, it can be different language, so we need to set it to English. Like that. And we set user mapping, so we need to make sure that the user can actually access the database, and we say that it is DB owner. So we just click OK. Okay. Alright, done. So what we need to do now, we need to create repository. So we just click repository creation wizard. Click next. Create new connection. Let's call it what is our database name. It is message queue server. Okay, let's test connection. It's working. So click next. And we want to create repository objects. Click next. So done. If usually if there are any errors, you see the message at the bottom of the screen. So finish. Now what we'll do, we'll connect to our production repository. So check this. Okay. Connected. So next step is to restore backup we created earlier. So we just click restore. We need to disable execution first. This is just in case we are restoring on the database where we have already created some users, etc. So we don't want to execute any action, so we just restore it. Select the file. Click open. We set it back. So here's our repository. As you can see, we connected to SQL Server repository, and we have new project, demo projects here. So next step we want to set up some folders. So we create a new folder called .logs. And then we create another folder called data. And we go back to options. And we will point the logs directory to logs. And we also set a global variable and we'll call it data root. Okay, let me just check that it's all. I forgot to press save. Copy it again. Yeah, so done. Okay, what we need to do now, we need to rename demo project. So click properties. We always recommend assigning the numbers. In this case, I'll use 99. Why? Because, for example, it's much more easier to work with numbers than with actual names, because you might have like 10 different access databases and could be very confusing, especially if you work it for a project for a while, then post and you're trying to find the problem and you have a lot of similar names, so you don't know which one is failing. So let's create new project. Call it production. Now what we want to do, we want to create subdirectory, the data folder, and we call it backups. We go to new, create new directory, and we call it backups. We will use a variable which we cannot find here. Okay, so it will do. Let me just correct. I'll check it. Yes, corrected. Okay. So why we're using this variable here? Imagine that you have multiple users or developers connected to the same repository. So they might set it to their own folder on their own computer or somewhere on the network just by modifying this variable. Or for example, if you move the software from one server to another, you can use different data route, which is, so we always recommend using data route variable. In fact, in one of the cases, one of our customers had 5,000 objects here. And what we had to do, we had to write an internal script to help them update all the paths. And it took very long time to do so. So it is much easier to set up it correctly at the beginning. So what we want to do now, we want to create some maintenance packages. Again, we'll use the number. So demo repository has some examples, and we're going to use them. Yeah, okay, here it is. Just copy it. Rename it. So now I want to clone it. Then what we need to do is to check the folder. So use a slightly different approach. Just copy the variable, the path. And we say that the folder is a variable. And we just paste it here, like that. Let's just try running it. Okay, we have no log files at the moment. Okay. To change the file name as well. Okay, so backup file is not calculated. actually worked. Let's try it. So not again. Okay, this time it's worked. And what we need to do to check that. Okay, so we have our backup. And what we need to do now, we need to schedule it for execution, because obviously we don't want to lose anything. So we'll use agent for execution, and we run it say weekly on Saturday. We can also run it daily if it is what we want, but weekly is fine for now. And now we are ready to start the agent. Agent is a Windows service which is responsible for executing the schedule. So just need to open services. So execution agent, and we set it to automatic. This is the user, and this user must be able to run Windows services. Click apply, start. Okay, we also need to enable the agent so it is actually running. And we can try running it from the schedule. Actually, something already, we don't need this one. Just delete it. And I need to check that it is, so we need to select a platform as well. So that's 64-bit, otherwise it will not work. Let's try running it. See, it is submitted for execution. For some reason it failed, so I need to investigate why it is failing. Well, it worked now, but what I did, I have temporarily hard-coded the path. But you get the idea, so it's very important to back up repository to avoid issues. Another very important point to talk about mapped drives. So mapped drives, they do not exist inside Microsoft Windows services. So if you want to work with remote servers or shares, always use UNC path. And another thing I wanted to discuss is the log size, because it can become very large. So what we can do, we can create new package for maintenance, call it clear log, for example. And we add clear log action, and we say that we want to keep 7 days of logging. And again, we can just schedule it for execution if necessary. Most of the time you don't really need it, but in very large production environment, it is better to clear the logs, because the log folder may become very, very large and consume a lot of disk space. Okay, that was rather very long tutorial. I hope you'll find it useful. As usual, please like and subscribe, and if you have any questions, please go to our support forum and we will do our best to help you. Thank you and bye.